Good morning. This is my defense argument for Ghostface. Your Honor, members of the jury, today I stand before you to defend a client who on the surface seems terrifying, known to the public as Ghostface. A figure behind a white mask, a symbol of fear in countless communities. But let us pause and remember, behind the mask is a human being, shaped by experiences, trauma, and emotional struggles. And it is in understanding this human being that we must consider the proper sentence: life imprisonment, not death. Ghostface has become infamous not just because of the crimes committed, but because of the mask that transforms a person into legend. Yet the mask does not create a monster, it conceals a person often struggling with betrayal, rejection, or emotional pain. Every act attributed to my client stems from a complex set of circumstances that the law recognizes as mitigating. To punish with death is to ignore these circumstances and to overlook the humanity hidden behind the mask. The murders committed were under conditions of extreme mental or emotional disturbance. Consider the events shown in the Scream series. The killings often arise from personal vendettas, intense feelings of loss, or deep psychological turmoil. My client acted in a state of overwhelming emotional strain, a state that diminishes culpability. The law acknowledges that when someone is pushed beyond the limits of rational thought, their responsibility, while not nullified, is lessened. Ghostface is not a cold-blooded killer in the classic sense. These are acts born of mental and emotional chaos. Furthermore, my client does not fit the profile of a habitual criminal. These crimes are not part of a lifelong pattern of violence. Unlike career criminals, my client's actions are tied to specific personal grievances and emotional responses. Nevada law recognizes that the absence of prior criminal behavior is a significant mitigating factor. Life imprisonment in this case is more than sufficient to protect society, hold my client accountable, and allow the legal system to administer justice fairly. In several instances, Ghostface did not act entirely alone. Some murders were committed with the influence or participation of others, and there is evidence of manipulation, coercion, or pressure from external forces. When a defendant is influenced by another, the moral blame is reduced. It is crucial to consider that the mask may strike fear, but the actions beneath it were often shaped by circumstances beyond my client's full control. The law allows us to consider these nuances when deciding a sentence. Additionally, some who have donned the Ghostface persona were young, vulnerable, and struggling to navigate extreme emotional pressures. Youth combined with trauma drastically reduces decision-making capacity and moral culpability. These are not excuses. They are realities that courts recognize. A life sentence accounts for the seriousness of the crimes while still reflecting the diminished culpability due to age, emotional state, and vulnerability. Even in cases of severe violence, the law considers whether the defendant has the potential for rehabilitation. My client, despite the crimes, has demonstrated intelligence, planning, and awareness of consequences, qualities that indicate the capacity for reflection and change. Life imprisonment provides the opportunity for rehabilitation and the hope, however remote, that my client might one day confront their actions responsibly. Members of the jury, Ghostface is a mask, yes, but it hides a human being behind it. Life imprisonment serves justice, it protects society, acknowledges the horror of the crimes, and yet does not resort to state-sanctioned killing. The death penalty, by contrast, is permanent, irreversible, and blinds to the emotional, psychological, and social circumstances that brought my client to this point. It is a punishment that cannot account for nuance, for trauma, or for the human capacity for change. Justice does not require us to extinguish life. Life imprisonment ensures public safety, respects the law, and treats my client beneath the mask as a human being deserving of careful consideration. Therefore, I urge you to recommend life imprisonment rather than death. Let the mask remain, but let justice be measured, fair, and humane. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your careful consideration.